Hey all, welcome back to my channel Ternary. I believe you watched the day 5 video where I explained the basic concepts of Python how to get started with Python, especially for AI. And if you have any doubts, make sure that you ask them in comments without any hesitation. Without any delay, let's get into day 6 video. Today we are going to see about operators in Python. This is very important concept when it comes to artificial intelligence and data science, specifically for data handling. Before getting into this concept technically, let me simply explain what is operator. Yesterday we have clearly seen what is variable and how to assign a value for a variable. It might be an integer, it might be a string. If I am assigning integer as a value to my variable, I can do any arithmetic operations or I can do anything whatever I want to do. If I am having a table data set which has so many columns, specifically numerical columns, I can handle the data set in different ways as per my requirement. So for doing those many things, I need to use operators in Python. That is how it is going to work, and you will understand them clearly if I explain these operators now. So in this video, I'm going to give an overview of how these operators work in Python, and part 2 of today's video, we are going to clearly see how these operators work practically. So how I explained in the previous video by sharing the screen. Without any delay, let's get into that overview part for today. First, arithmetic operators. These are the basic operators in Python which will be used for arithmetical calculations. If I am trying to add any two values, it might be integer, it might be a float value or something. If I want to add or multiply or divide, or if I want to subtract two values, in those scenarios, I'll be using these arithmetic operators. As similar to how you have studied those operations in your high schools, we have additionally few more operators when it comes to arithmetic operators in Python. And for multiplication, you might have used a symbol like this, like a small x. But here we'll be using a star symbol, like an asterisk symbol. But specifically for finding a square value of any numbers in laptop, we have a tilde symbol like this. But that operator won't make sense in Python. In Python, that is not used for finding a square value of any numbers. Instead, what you have to do is you have to use two star symbols for finding any square values. For example, if I want to find a square value of 5, what I have to do is I should give it in this way. 5, 2 stars like this, then 2. So the output would be 25. So for finding a square value, you should be using this operator. And when it comes to division, we just had division right when we were at high schools. But in Python, we have additionally one more option for division. If I am dividing 5 by 2, the output would be 2.5 accurately. If I want 2 as an output, when I want to ignore the decimal value that I am going to get, what I can do is, instead of using this normal division, I can use that symbol twice, which says it is a float division operator and ignores the decimal value that we get as an output. Next, as a second operator, we have comparison operators. As similar to arithmetic operators, we might have used this a lot to find which number is greater than this number, if this number is lesser than that, or if these both values are equal likewise. In Python, when handling a data, specifically if I have any table values and I have a column like age, and my whole goal is to decide if this person is eligible for voting or not, I have to use Python programming to finally find an output who are all eligible for voting. And when I have a column age, if I apply this comparison operator, use this comparison operator, in a way, if age is greater than 18, and I can print the remaining values of those particular person. If I am entering so many details of person and I want to filter the person's detail, those people detail based on their age, In that scenario, I could use comparison operators. That's how that makes sense. The third operator is logical operators. When I apply comparison operators and when I see an output of true or false. For example, if I have value of A as 10 and the value of B is assigned as 10 and I'm using comparison operators. If A, I'm going to check A greater than or equal to 10. It's obvious that A is equal to 10. So in two conditions, greater than or equal to, it is satisfying the second condition, equal to. So the output would be true. In case if I am assigning a value of A as 5, it says that the value of A is 5, which is lesser than 10, which value that I assign to B. Now the value of A is 5, the value of B is 10, and I am using the same condition, A greater than or equal to B. As my value of A is 5 and value of B is 10, which says that my value of A is lesser than B. So the output would be false. My condition is not satisfied. Whenever I get an output of my program as true or false, then we call that as logical operators. The fourth operator is assignment operator. Python program itself is being used in AI and data science concepts for a certain reason, to minimize the number of lines of coding, right? To make that even more easier and to reduce the lines even more lesser than how we use. When it comes to arithmetic operators, if my value of A is 10 as I already assigned and my value of B is 10. Now if I want to add these values, what I'll be doing is, I'll be creating new variable C is equal to A plus B. Instead of doing those many things, what I could simply do is A plus equal to B. Instead of writing as A plus B, I can simply write as A plus equal to B. I did not create new variable to assign the value of those two variables to that new variable. So for doing those things, I can use assignment operators. So even for comparison, you can use it in that same way. So the major goal of assignment operator is to reduce the number of lines and to assign a value. And specifically, we have equal operator here as a first assignment operator, which is used for checking if I want to assign a value to a particular variable, A is equal to 5 likewise, and if I want to check if those values are equal, what I have to use, I have to use double equal to. Let's consider I have my value of A as 5 and value of B is 7. If I want to check both the values are equal, what I have to do is I just need to use A and this equal to operator, double equal to, and then I should use B. Based on how the decision is made by Python program, we'll see an output as true or false. As I assign my A's value as 5 and B's value as 7, the output would be definitely false because they are not equal. And the operator did its purpose. Okay. Next, bitwise operators. So if I explain this bitwise operators with word, you can't clearly understand this. So for explaining this operators in the next video, while I'll be sharing my screen and explaining with the laptop, I'll explain that clearly. For now, just keep it in mind as the values, whatever you give is converted as zeros and ones by the computer. That's how that works. Okay, that is something that you could just keep it in mind, and when I explain it through screen sharing in the next video, you can understand them clearly. The next operator is membership operator. The sixth operator and seventh operator you could remember easily by comparing those both operators. Let me give you one example so you can understand that very clearly. If I am calling out a person called Teju from our class, okay, so if I am checking if Teju is in class A, so among the whole class students, I am checking that particular person, Teju, is in this class or not, inside this class if she is there or not. So in a list of values, I'm checking a particular value is there or not in. So for that scenario, you'll be using membership operator. The whole list of students in the group of people, if that particular person or particular value is being a part or not. For that, I'll be using membership operator. And when I want to find out if I'm calling a particular student out of the same class, okay, and that person is standing next to me and I'm asking if she is Teju, then that is how identity operators work. I'm just checking if I have a value in hand. I'm just cross checking if that value is what I'm expecting. That is how identity operator works. If I'm just asking Teju, are you Teju? When I have her next to me, that is how identity operators work. If I have value of as A as 10, I'm just checking if that value is 10 or not. So that is how this particular identity operator works. Next, ternary operator. So this is specifically a decision making operator. And the next video, day 7th video, we'll be seeing very clearly about conditional statements. If else, specifically we'll see about if conditions, then we'll see about if else, we'll see about LF, we'll see about nested if and all. So those conditional statements are specifically used for making a decision based on a condition. If near to if, I'll be giving condition. If that condition is satisfied, make a decision. If that condition is not satisfied, use the decision that I have given below else statement. So in that if conditional statements, I'll be using everything in single lines, individual lines. For if, I'll be using next to if, I'll be giving some condition, next to which I'll be giving the decision that you should make if that condition satisfied. Next, on the next line, I'll be giving else, and if that condition that I gave for if condition is not satisfied, then use the decision that I gave under else. But just by using them in one line, we can use that if else conditional statement. That is how ternary operator works. Ternary operator is generally a if else condition on a single line. And while sharing my screen and explaining, you can understand that in a better way. The final operator is Walrus operator. As a beginner, most of the people in Python is getting confused with Walrus operator. Let me give you one example so that you can clearly understand how this Walrus operator works. So this is how the symbol of Walrus operator will look like. Okay, this is generally used for assigning a function to a variable, and instead of calling that whole function. For example, n is a variable to which I assigned a particular function. So the function is like finding a length of my variable, and after finding the length of my variable, I have to check if that length is greater than 5. Instead of using this whole function each and every time, which is going to consume my time, and I have to write lines on lines of code. To make it short, I will be storing that inside a variable called n using this operator. Next to n, I'm going to use this operator, and I'm going to specifically mention the condition. And whenever I need to use this whole function, I'll just call this operator. I mean, this variable. I believe you got some clarity on how these operators work in Python. In next video, in the part 2 of day 6 video, I'll be sharing my screen and I'll explain how these operators work. We'll see them in line by line of coding in Python. Don't miss that out. Make sure that you check that out after watching this video. Bye for now.